What's up, everybody? This is Flash001 USA. Today is Saturday, March 17th, the year 2018. It's right around 11:30 noontime here. Yes, sir, we have the automation completed on the Gasifier. The control unit is finished and mounted up, and I couldn't be happier. Now what I'm going to do is we're going to split this video up into a couple different segments, and I'm going to go ahead and cover everything you see in the video here. We're going to cover the operation of it and the functions of what you're looking at right here. And then we're going to go ahead and cover what I consider to be the feature of this, and that is the auto grate feature on this. It works really good, and we'll cover that a little bit more here in a moment. But right now, let's get back to the explanations. Now this thing does run in two modes. You can run in standard mode, which means that the grate and the hopper trigger off of timers that you preset here, or you can have it run like that with an added feature, which is going over here and turning on auto grate. And what it does is it senses the back pressure that builds up in the gasifier. Normally what happens, your grate will fill up full of biochar as the engine runs over time, and the back pressure on the manometer will physically rise. And for those of you all out there that have manometers set up on your gasifiers, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And the way this is set up is, once the liquid hits the trigger point, wherever I set it, then it's going to send a signal back to the controller. The controller is going to go ahead and shake the grate automatically. Now where this comes in useful is, let's say that you're running strictly off of timers. Okay, well it's probably going to work good, but there may be a time that the grate needs to be shaken at some odd time for whatever reason. You know, maybe something settles in the gasifier before the timer swings around to do its job. Well, that's where the auto grate comes in. So if something happens, it'll go ahead and take care of it, you know, provided it's just normal blockage that you have when the gasifier is running. So like I said, that's something that I'm kind of proud of. It works really good. And the way this thing works is I will set it up, I will find my baseline. So in other words, when the engine is running on this thing, we'll sit here and we'll watch where the liquid's tugging, and we'll go ahead and that'll be our baseline. We'll set this sensor up here. It slides up and down, but we'll set it up where it's about a half an inch to maybe 3/4 of an inch above the liquid. And once the liquid starts to rise due to back pressure, then it'll send its signal back to the unit here to tell it to go ahead and clean the grate. And this thing's pretty simple. I've got on the backs of these rulers, they're made out of steel. The board here that has the sensor on it has magnets that have pieces of felt on the front of them. And you can see it just slides up and down with ease. It's nice and smooth. And that's how you set it up. You set your baseline up like that. We'll cover that a little more as the video moves forward. But there you go. Just glad to finally have this done. Okay, taking an up-close look at the controller, I'll give you guys some explanations as far as how this thing operates. So right now we're going to start with this part of it here. This is our knobs where we set our timing settings, and I'm going to get a little bit closer. Now you see we got a hopper interval and a hopper duration. These work as a pair, and then we got another pair down here for the grate, which is also interval and duration. And the way this works is, we'll go back to the top here. The interval is how often in time does it happen. You know, does this thing trigger the hopper or the grate, you know, every minute, every 5 minutes, or whatever the time we set on it. So basically this is how often in time it happens. Then the duration is once it's kicked in, how long does it run for? And the same applies for our grate shaker duration down here. Now for mine, I think I'm set up with the hopper where it kicks in every 6 minutes and it runs for about 6 seconds. As far as my grate, I want to say it's roughly every 3 minutes, and it runs just a little bit over 1/4 of a second when it kicks in. So that's basically how I've got mine set up. Now I haven't ran this with an actual engine, but just going back to my past videos and viewing how often I would go and tickle the grate to clean it, or you know, open the top and stir up the wooden side of it, I'm going by those times right there, and I will probably have to adjust, no big deal. So you guys will actually see me do this probably in real time when I run this with the engine. Okay, The next setup we got over here is an LED and a button, and you see that this says active. So every time that the hopper kicks in, this light will light up to let you know, hey, look, that it's going active. That's a good indicator also, you know, just in case something goes wrong. If you see the light come on and your hopper or your grates aren't running, then you know, hey, there's probably something unplugged or something you didn't hook up. And the same thing down here with this right here. This correlates with this just as these correlate with this right here. And of course we got the power switch here, we got a standby switch, and we got the auto grate switch. Now in standby the LED is red. If I flip the button up, he goes green. Now everything's active. I'm going to go ahead and throw him back in standby here. And the auto grate the same way. If you turn it on, you get a red LED, but once it's activated by the liquid level hitting off the trigger, this will go orange. I'm going to shut him down just for now. Okay, when everything's in standby, all the electronic timers, they're still running, but they're out of the loop. They can't activate the relays. So in other words, throwing it in standby does not reset the timers. It just makes them where they can't kick in the relays. Now, I've got manual buttons here right under each of these lights here. So I got a manual for the hopper and a manual for the grate shaker. Those operate whether this is in standby or not. It'll operate in either mode. So I'm going to show you what's going on here and let you do this. We're going to run the hopper. And the grate. Okay, let's take a look at how I've got this thing mounted up here, because some of you all may find this of interest and may want to incorporate this if you decide to try this build. So let's look underneath it. And you're going to notice right off the bat there's wing nuts. There's one here, and there's a couple more. There's one in each corner basically. And this box, the way I've got it set up is I've got threaded rod or screw coming out of the bottom of it, and it can marry to the platform. And what we're going to do right now is I'm going to take the box off of here, because I made this thing extremely modular. I wanted to be able to service it, and making it modular where I could take it apart, to me, was the ticket. So I'm going to go ahead and pull this off. Then we'll get a close look at the platform and let you see everything up front and close. Take a standby again. All right, we've got the controller unit removed from its platform, and it's sitting over here. Matter of fact, while I'm looking at this, I'll let you guys see how this thing interfaces with the hopper, vibrator, and the grate shaker. So these wires here you see, and is how we tie into it. Notice I just got regular plugs on them. So this is for our hopper, and this is for our grate shaker. Then we got AC going in, and of course we got our control wires, which is our power out and sensor back in for the auto grate feature. So basically that's it all in a nutshell. So let's go back to here again. All I did, guys, was I made just kind of like a music stand, I guess. But it's either 1 or 1 1/4 inch. I'm not sure what it is, but this is just some steel tubing, hollow tubing, and I used the same railing that I used for this guy right here. Used them on here, and just welded this up to it. It's not going anywhere. It's about, I want to say about 18 inches in height or something like that. But let's take a look at the underbelly of it. Hopefully you can see this right here and here. Now what I made was a swivel mount on this thing. I wanted to be able to tilt this thing back and forth. I wanted to be able to set it up to what I consider to be a good ergonomic position for me when I'm standing over the gasifier. And basically I just made what you see right here. It's just a couple of wing nuts on each side of it, here and over here. And in between is sandwiched with some good high quality rubber gaskets, and that way this thing, you don't have to tighten it to death. The rubber holds everything into place for you. So that's how I've got it set up, and of course it just bolts up right here to the platform that the gasifier's on. So I just wanted you to see this thing so you could see how I've got it physically mounted up. And of course we do have the holes here so that the screws that are coming out of the back of here can mount up to it and be held into place with wing nuts. Okay, ignore the mess with the wires, but I'm going to be using the blower motor to pull a vacuum on this. And this way we'll be able to see the auto grate in action. You'll be able to see how it works real time. And what I'm going to do is when I plug in the vacuum, I'll zoom in, and you'll be able to watch the liquid come up from 0 down here, and it should trigger right at 2. But before we do that, if you remember me mentioning that when the auto grate kicks in, the light goes from red to orange, I'm going to let you guys see this, and I'm going to put it in standby, which is where we're at right now. So we're in standby, and I'm going to plug this thing in. Hopefully the camera will have enough resolution to pick it up. So I'm kind of doing this with one hand, trying to plug this in, so just bear with me. It's red right now. We're looking at the bottom light. You see it change? Now I'm going to unplug it. That electrocute myself. It went back red, and like I said, I don't know what the camera is going to pick up. You may just see it physically flicker. I don't know. Okay, we're going to plug it back in. Right there it changed. I'm going to unplug it, and it immediately goes red, and that's because the liquid level drops below the sensor. So I wanted you to see that, and now what I want to do is we're going to go ahead and enable this thing, and you'll see just how fast the grate shaker reacts to it. Now, I don't know where these timers are in time, so when I flip this thing out of standby, the grate may shake, or even the hopper vibrator may kick in, so just be aware of that. Okay, so let's go back over here to this mess. Sorry about the camera, guys. I'm just trying to get situated here. Okay. It should trigger right at 2. Here we go. Hear it? Now it's doing a cycle here. And I'll zoom in so you can see what I'm talking about. So we unplug. The liquid falls down, everything shuts off, and as I had mentioned, I don't know where the timers are. So they could be getting ready to cycle just on their own. We'll do it again. You'll hear it cycle. All right, that's it. And that's something that I really like about this guy right here. Is it's fast. It's lightning fast to react on a moment's notice. When that liquid crosses the threshold, it's over with. It's going to be given that great burst to hopefully clear it. Because most of the time, whenever I see back pressure, that's where it is. And something else. On my manometer, or at least the last one I built, it's captain obvious when it clogs up, because the liquid will go all the way up to about 5, 6, and sometimes even 6.5 and 7, just depending on how hard the engine's torquing on the gasifier. Oh, by the way, something I want to mention here, the way I set this up, and if you decide to use this manometer setup, the way you set it up is you leave everything in standby, you get your engine running, and what you're looking for is a baseline vacuum. So you'll see where your engine, once you get your engine running, you'll see, okay, you know, I'm pulling 3 or 4 or whatever the engine's tugging on the manometer. You will then slide this thing up or slide it down, depending where you need to do it, to the appointed place where it needs to be. You'll put it so that the liquid, while the engine is running, is about 1/2 inch, maybe 3/4 of an inch below it. And what happens is, once the liquid starts backing up because of a blockage in the grate, the liquid will come up, it'll trigger it, and if everything is running normally, it should shake it clean and you're back in business before the engine even bogs down. Okay, I want to show you something else here. This thing is pretty cool the way I've got it set up. On this sensor here, there's magnets on it, and on the fronts of the magnets I have felt, and of course these 2 metal rails on the rulers. This thing slides up and down, and it's professional feeling. That's about the best way I can put it. But it's not going to vibrate loose or any kind of issues like that. Now, most people, they'll use 2 manometers. They'll have one coming right out of the gasifier or before it goes to the filters, and then right at the engine. With this system, guys, I'm just running one. I mean, for my setup, is all practical purposes, this works good. And a lot of times they'll just take a piece of tubing and put it on a wooden background and make a letter U with it, so they, you know, tug the liquid one way to the other. Now, I got clever with mine, and I did mine a little bit different. So what I did is I've got a PVC reservoir made right here, okay? And this thing is, there's my U pipe right here. It goes down, it goes under, and then I got aquarium tubing down here. I drilled a nice tight hole and put the aquarium tubing in it. And I pull my vacuum at the top here, and I get my vacuum right at the bottom of this set of cooling pipes here, right before it goes to the filter. You guys hear those gunshots? Yep, that's what you call the Second Amendment being practiced. Speaking of, I think I'll give a shout out to the team at InfoWars right here. Yes, a proud InfoWars supporter. Okay, on that note, guys, let's get serious here. We're ready to fire this thing up. We got everything rocking and rolling. We got the controller up and running, but it's in standby. Now this is going to be a little bit more of a smoky startup. I didn't have enough biochar, so I've got some raw wood in here with this, so it's definitely going to look like the barbecue grill. That's also why it's taking longer to start it, because I don't have the benefit of having the raw charcoal in here. So we are starting from wood. A little bit of charcoal, but not enough for my comfort zone here. Oh, almost forgot. Safety glasses. Let's see how much is showing up inside the viewfinder here. Oh yeah, we got a barbecue grill going. I'll tell you what, we'll see if you guys can see this. I mean, it's almost producing gas, which is surprising since I just lit it. But you can see it right there. It's definitely producing. It'll take it a couple more minutes, but we'll get there. Oh, so close. There it goes. All right, guys, we got a flare. So that's half the battle. And it's still burning dirty, so we got to definitely let this thing warm up. All right, that's a good sign right there. I'm going to go ahead and throw some wood in it, and we're going to have to let this thing cook a little bit just to get it stable here. I'll pause back out and I'll bring you guys back in here in a couple of minutes. So I gotta go get another battery for the camera. This one's just about to go bye-bye. Let me see if you guys can hear this. Okay, we may be ready to fire it off on the filters. So we'll see what happens here. That's pretty strange. It's totally Halloween orange with a lot of blue in it, but there's not like one iota of smoke coming out of this thing when I shined a light on it a second ago. So that was definitely interesting. hopefully let's have some of the automation going on here. If you notice, whenever the hopper vibrator kicks in, the brake also kicks in with burst. I may have mentioned this, but I don't remember. But that's so, if there's any settlement, hopefully that'll clear it up and not cause an issue with back pressure. Alright, we're going to pause back out. Okay, we've been running for about 40 minutes and no major issues. I think I've tweaked the generator once, and that was about it. Definitely nice to see that everything's working and that the effort I put into putting this controller has actually paid off. As you can see, light in the windows, light out front out here, and of course everything's lit up back here, along with putting some tasty wood gas watts into the battery bank. I'm not going to run all night out here, so I went ahead and put a little bit more wood in the hopper. We'll just let it cook along. But yeah, definitely doing what it's supposed to do, guys. So on that note, we'll pause back out, and I'll come back in maybe about another 20 or 30 minutes. We'll just play it by ear. Okay, we've been running about an hour and 20 minutes, and it's weird. It's weird not having to go up and constantly adjust it. The only hard time that I had with it was at the beginning. I had to play around with the carburetor some, and I don't even think I'd have done that if I'd have had a good start. I didn't consider the startup tonight to be like I normally see it, so I'm really pleased that it's doing what it's doing right now. I also figured out something else with it. I need to fill the wood hopper 2/3 the way up. It works best when it's 2/3 the way up. Then let it run, and I don't know, it'll run about 30 or 40 minutes. Then I got to feed it some more wood again. But what I can see, that seems to work with it. I get the best results, and you can see now that it's humming right along. I'm out here running my mouth in front of the camera, but that is behind it, and no issues. This thing pulls very little pressure. I can't believe that that blower fan draws harder on the system than the actual engine itself does. You'd have thought it'd been the other way around. But I'm just kind of walking around here now. I feel like I'm untethered from it now. And you know, in the past, I kind of had to be near it. And sometimes, like I said, it would run 5, 10, 20 minutes sometimes without touching it. But you always had to go in there and tweak it a little bit. And so far, I haven't touched the wood hopper other than add wood, and I sure haven't messed with the grate. I'm just going to walk away from it here. I'll zoom in on it though. Kind of quieter right here. I can hear myself think. Yeah, the automation's doing its job. And guys, I'm like 99.99999% finished with the PDFs on this thing. I just got a couple of small things I got to add to it, and I'll make this available for everybody. So if anybody's interested in the plans, just email me or something, and what I'll do is I'll put you on the list. Here goes the automation. All right, cool. But anyhow, I'll put you on a list, and then when I get them finished, I'll send it out to everybody, give you a link to it. I'll probably put it up on the mini wood gas site so everybody can just download it. So it's going to be a pretty big file. It's probably about 20 or 25 pages. But it'll show you exactly how to put this thing together if you decide to take it on. And that's the most important thing right there. But yeah, this is a testament to it right here. You can hear it. This engine hasn't changed RPM since I've been out here walking around. Yeah, to me, that's the telltale that this thing's doing its job. What you're looking at is wood gas watts coming out in the form of light. I got the whole building lit up like a Christmas tree, including the blower fan there that I started with, and of course I'm charging the battery banks off of it. I'm trying to walk around here with the camera because I just want everybody to know that I'm not cutting in and cutting out with the camera, having to go adjust it. So I hope I'm not boring everybody with this, but I want you can hear it for yourself. You hear me talk, you know I'm not even messing with it. So it's doing exactly what it needs to do. That engine's about shot on that generator. There's a story behind it, but this thing burns a lot of oil. Matter of fact, I had to put some of the heavy oil inside this thing to keep it from burning it up. So that's going to be on the list to fix. But anyhow, I'm going to pause back out, and we'll come back in here. So we're probably pushing close to an hour and a half, and chugging right along. Take a standby. I just want to show you guys something. Let's take a look at the wood hopper. Nice. You can see we got a lot of water here, so it's doing its hickey. That is so nice, not having to go over here and stab this thing to get the wood to go down into it. Yeah, man, it works. That's all that matters. I'm probably going to adjust the engine a little bit here. I had to mess with it all night. That's it. I barely touched it. I'm going to let the camera sit here and run some more and let it catch some of the automation. Guys, I gotta tell you, I'm about giddy over this. I don't know what to do with myself. I mean, I'm not used to not having to touch this thing and adjust it. I mean, at least not at all. Good thing we got a little breeze coming through here, boy. I tell you what, Those fumes are building up over there. I thought I was getting a contact buzz from oak wood or something. I don't know. But yeah, you can see it, you hear it running, and it, like I said, it's just stable, man. It really is. You've heard past videos where you see me run up and constantly adjust it, and some of that was due to a bad carburetor or loose parts on it. But even with this new setup, I always had to adjust it a little bit, and it's hair trigger. But I think once you get the sweet spot on it, that's 9/10 of the law, and it'll just poop right along like it's doing. You can almost set a watch by this thing. That's how steady that motor is. Walk around the front here again. Yeah, it's nice not being tethered to it. And I hope I'm not talking everybody's ear off on the video. Basically just wanting to let you see that, yes, there goes the automation again, that this thing does what it's supposed to do. It works as advertised. There's the automation. Very shagadelic. Alright, we're going to go ahead and pause back out, and I'll bring you guys back in a couple of minutes. Okay. We've been running about an hour and 40 minutes. I think I'm going to go ahead and shut down. I'm going to go inside and get cleaned up and enjoy this Saturday with the girlfriend and catch a movie there. But yeah, man, definitely did what it was supposed to do. So let me shut this thing down. This is my favorite part right here. You guys have seen me do this many times in videos. Oh yeah. Definitely worked, and I couldn't ask for it to work any better. The only light that I had powered from the outside was, this was my backup light, so for some reason I lost power out here because it shut down or from some sort of snafu or something, that I would be able just to go over here and do what I did right here and still be able to see. Nice. That's all I got to say. Very nice, and I'm quite pleased with how this thing's worked tonight. Okay, we're back on the power company's Tasty Watts. The only problem is theirs cost money, as were my Tasty Watts are tastier, because all I had to do was take a little time out of my day, go in the woods, get some sticks and cut them up and put them inside of a modified trash can. So there you go. But yeah, this has been a learning experience. I think I got my timers roughly where they need to be, and other than the poor startup that I had, I can't complain with this run. I tried to walk around with the camera as much as possible. I wanted you guys to be able to hear this thing running and notice that I wasn't up here having to babysit it. And that was something I had to get used to. I had to break myself of the habit of, hey, I don't have to be over here touching anything. I really didn't do much to it at all, to be honest with you. I mean, during the beginning, yeah, I had to get over here and basically adjust the carburetor a little bit until everything stabilized. But other than that, that was it. So this thing definitely panned out, and my next project is going to be my wood chunker. I've already got my gearbox, and I got a good idea how it's going to go together. But the thing about it is, it's going to be, you know, just finding the time to do it. So hopefully that will happen quick enough, and when it does, I'll make a video on it. Let's see how much water we got into the jar here. You know, that's always a good indicator as far as how well the run went. And yeah, we got a little bit in there. We got about 2 inches, and I'm willing to bet most of that happened during the startup, because this thing had a hard time. Like I said, I didn't have enough biochar on hand, and I had to put some wood in with it. So it caused me issues. It caused me back pressure issues, actually, until the thing cycled through a couple good handfuls of wood, and then it would chug-a-lug right along. So there you go. On that note, though, I hope everybody you know, is going to be interested in possibly building this thing. I am going to make the PDF available. It's 99.99999% finished. So anybody interested in it, just shoot me an email. What I'll do is I'll put your email away, and I'll contact you at a later time and let you know that you can go download it. But right now I just got a couple things I need to do to it, but I have showed every bit of detail on this thing of how to build this, how I did my manometer, the whole 9 yards. So if you're interested in taking this on, it shouldn't be an issue whatsoever. Like I said, everything I do is open source. So just for measure, I want to show everybody something here. Let me get a light on this. Notice anything? That's right, no tar. We're going to stick our finger in this tube here and swirl it around good. Just water, that's all that's in there. My hands are dirty from sticking them inside the gasifier, but yeah, no goo nowhere. And that's the way Paw likes it. So all we got in this thing is water. Alright, this is going to be a follow-up from last night's run. I want to take a look at the water that's in the capture jar and the expansion tank. I'm curious how much liquid we captured. You see I got rubber gloves on here. Now, as I had mentioned last night, I didn't have a good startup. That was because I didn't have enough biochar on hand, and I wound up starting up with mostly wood. And I learned a long time ago that a really good startup, on average, is going to lead to a really great run. So this thing, when I first started it up, I had to fight with it. I think some of the unburnt wood was getting down into the grate and was causing me restriction issues. Now, once it got going, it was all good, but it was aggravating for the first 20 or 30 minutes until it basically got stable. So I want to take a look at what we have here, because the flare looked nasty on it when I first started it up. It looked like a barbecue grill with all the smoke pouring out of it. And I really don't see that on runs. I mean, I see smoke, but it's not like white poofy smoke. I'm probably going to have to set the camera down. Let me do that to grab this puppy. Okay. Oh yeah. Now guys, I thought about saving all this and inviting all my YouTube friends over, and late one night we could dance around a campfire like crazy Indians and drink this stuff like ayahuasca tea and see what happens. Or we could drink it like wine. I have no idea what to expect out of this. I didn't see any tar per se. I mean, like anything dripping around, but you know, you don't know. You don't know until you do this. And if there is, okay, I see particles, but I don't see anything that I would call tar. Let's see what we got here. Nope, that's ash right there. And of course this jar is older than dirt itself, so I don't really ever clean it out. But all I see is ash in here. Nope. There ain't no tar in that. I would have swore that there would have been a puddle in the bottom of that jar. I just wasn't happy with the startup on this thing. I'm going to see how much this can rinse off. No, it's rinsing out. Other than the ashes that I just smashed into it, it actually came clean. Okay, well, I mean, you know, if there's any fears that I was putting any kind of tar gas into the engine, that was put behind me right there. There wouldn't have been anyhow, just because I waited extra long before I got the thing started up. The only thing I got on here, literally, is just the ashes. And I can almost brush, I can feel them right there with my finger, but so we'll look at the back side of it. But, yeah, it rinsed clean. It sure did. So if I can unfold this. To me, this is my telltale sign, because I'm telling you right now, go back and look at some of the old FEMA videos that I did. And if you took a paper towel or it got on your clothes or hands, if there was a tar that was broken down into the liquid, it was literally like Coca-Cola colored dye. I'm not kidding. Whatever it got on, that was its permanent color. So this came back shiny white, and we know that we didn't have anything major in the system. So let's take a look at the lines themselves. Now I see condensation, and that's about it. Hopefully this is getting in the camera. I'm trying to make sure you guys can see what I'm looking at here. I don't see anything in here that would give me indications that anything nasty made its way to the engine. Yeah. Just ash, that's all it is. A little bit of whatnot that's in there, but definitely nothing got into the engine that shouldn't have got in there, so that's what I wanted to see right there. and I'm going to move this generator out of the way, and we're going to drain this tank. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause out for a second and get something to capture this stuff in. Stand by. Okay, let's see what we get out of the tank. Get this thing opened here. Yuck. Same thing out of the jar. Okay. Pretty much the same thing that was in the jar, yeah. Just ash colored water. It's almost got a purple look to it. Good enough. We'll try to get this in the light. Same as the other. It's just dirty water. I wonder if you could use this for a barbecue grill. And yeah, they sell liquid smoke in the bottles. There's some ash particles in the bottom of that too. Those are hard and crunchy, so I'm mashing them up on my finger there, and yeah, it's not even sticking to the gloves. Yeah, it's just more proof that definitely was no tar. Which, to be honest with you, I'm extremely amazed, because I've seen this thing, well, I've seen the gasifier when I first built it, get goo in the pipes and everything. Especially if you're starting with wood that's raw, not starting with biochar. I'm a staunch believer in starting with biochar, no doubt about it. And I'll second what I just said, that hey, you know, when you start and you get a good start up, you're going to get a good run, provided everything, you know, you got the right fuel and everything. And to me, the best startup you'll have with the gasifier is starting it up with biochar, because it's so clean and it gets hotter than hell when it's going. And it'll warm everything up quickly, and then when you start dropping raw wood on top of it, you know, it's very well behaved. I don't even know if I can shake this thing apart here. I don't think I got everything off of it. There's like a lot of pieces of charcoal and stuff that came out with it. Yeah, see that? I just mashed it into there, but that's just charcoal. So I'll flip it back to the other side over here. I didn't really rinse it out that much. Yeah, there's no tar in this thing, so that was good to see. I was kind of concerned about that, I will not lie. I was concerned after the way it started up. But like I said, it was a good run overall. And let's take a look inside the hopper. I didn't even run everything out of the hopper last night. Let me throw a light onto the mix here so we can see what's going on. Yeah, I didn't run it all out last night. Now, you see where the line is? That's where the center of this particular container was when it was cut down. That line is, you can see the seam right there, basically is what I want to call it. I can fill this thing up, not all the way to the top of the lid, but right to the top of our air nozzle line coming in right there. That's what I consider about 2/3, and maybe a little bit more than 2/3 of the way. But if I fill it up there, this thing works fantastic. Lesson learned last night, don't pack it, because the vibrator will not be able to do its job shaking everything loose. So you got to leave a little bit of leeway in there for it to be able to do its magic. So what I figured out last night on the run, and I figured it out immediately, that if I filled up just to where you can still see this, then you know, it was fantastic. I've never had to go in here and stab this, not one time. Although, somewhere over here, yeah, there it is. I did have Old Faithful on hand, just in case I needed it, but I never needed it. So, there you go. Alright, that's about it right there, and I guess at this point I'm going to get out here and clean all this mess up and put everything up. Yeah, my next project, as I mentioned last night, I'm going to be starting on the wood chunker, and that's something that is much needed. I can't wait to start on it. It's just a point of finding the time to do it. But that'll be my next video, and guys, I don't know when that's going to be. So got a lot of things going on, so I'm going to get on it and do it just whenever I can get it done. And then of course the last thing pretty much will be taking the motor that I got a couple years ago and the 165 watt alternator and making the setup so that I can generate DC directly, which will go into this big Mamba Jammer right here. So that actually ties to the battery bank, and that way it'll, you know, can charge it the same way a car does when you crank your car up. It'll be a lot more efficient than, you know, with a 110 volt system. So I definitely got a lot on my plate. So on that note, any questions or comments, just feel free to send me something, drop me a line or whatnot. Now, as I did mention, I'm like so close to having the PDFs finished. That's for the controller unit itself, and I will make that available to everybody. So if you're interested, just drop me a line. I will save your contact information, and when I finish it, I'm going to go ahead and probably upload it to the Mini Wood Gas website, where I will put a link on it. And while I'm at it, I'm going to go ahead and put the CAD files up there also that one of our guys did for us. Like I said, we got a lot of people that put a lot of input on this, and that's the beauty of it, is to have everybody throwing their ideas at it, and we take the best of everybody's ideas and combine them together and come up with something that's free for everybody to build. So on that note, Flash 001 USA 10-4 over and out. You guys have a good one. Bye-bye.